girl discovered something strange in the living room. Her younger cousin seemed about to escape the cage. She turned and glanced at the kitchen. She then remembered how loud her cousin usually was. A terrifying thought suddenly came to mind. 5 minutes later, she quietly made her way to the second floor. Her cousin had already climbed to the edge of the pool, but as she watched her cousin about to fall into the water, a smile appeared at the corner of her mouth. In this moment of crisis, her aunt noticed the child just in time. Her uncle rushed over after hearing her call. She anxiously scolded the man for being irresponsible, but the uncle seemed very confused. He had clearly placed him in the baby cage. At that moment, no matter how much he tried to explain. The next day, Daisy went to school, but when she got off the bus, she saw a poster. Her aunt had said this was the new school her uncle found for her. Daisy immediately realized something was wrong. Had her uncle started to suspect her? Although she was very displeased, she still pretended to be happy, but the troubles didn't end there. In class, the teacher introduced a new student, but strangely, as soon as the new student sat at her desk, it seemed like there was a target on Daisy. The student kept her eyes locked on Daisy. This made Daisy very confused. Later, during dance class, because of her body condition, Daisy's movements were extremely stiff. The teacher asked her to switch out for a substitute. Sitting nearby, she was immediately annoyed. She still needed to compete for cheerleading captain. Was she really going to let this substitute ruin her plan? The more she thought about it, the more dissatisfied she became. When the dance class ended, she had to pretend to be happy while the substitute greeted others. When she returned to her bedroom, she realized the dagger had been taken by her uncle. Clearly, things were getting complicated. Being powerless and furious was not her style. At the vanity table, Daisy quickly made a plan. That evening, she quietly went to the second floor, opened the sunshade curtains, and saw her uncle was fixing the car. Her gaze instantly froze. The next day, Daisy was cutting cucumbers when her uncle received a phone call while cooking. In a rush, he asked Daisy to watch the stove, but Daisy wouldn't pass up such an opportunity. She poured a large amount of oil into the pan. Once the pan heated up, there would be a show. Then, she turned up the heat. By the time her aunt noticed something wrong, her uncle was already frantically trying to put out the fire in the kitchen. Seeing the house destroyed like this, his wife kept scolding him, while Daisy acted like a good person, quickly grabbing some sand and putting out the fire, facing his wife's accusations when he tried to see what it was. The jack suddenly disappeared. His thighs were holding up the car. In a dazed state, a figure flashed by. He seemed to see Daisy, but couldn't be sure. Eventually, he lost consciousness. Meanwhile, Daisy had arrived at the class reunion, pretending to be at a friend's house all night, until the friend's mother suddenly opened the door and told her something had happened at home. She then rushed to the hospital to comfort her aunt. Luckily, her uncle had only fallen into a coma, with his legs badly injured. But at this point, Daisy felt troubled. The past few days, she had been on edge, convincing herself maybe her uncle would end up in a vegetative state. But then, her aunt gave her some good news. Thanks to her constant care, her uncle had woken up from the hospital. Daisy instantly panicked when she heard this, but her aunt continued. Her uncle would be coming home soon. Daisy quickly asked what was wrong, but the new student seemed to know her well, because she had heard since arriving at school that everyone around Daisy had died mysteriously. The other students thought it was a coincidence, but the new student suspected Daisy had been the cause. She even suspected that the substitute's dog died, because Daisy was upset about being replaced. She demanded that Daisy tell her the truth. But when Daisy heard this, she thought the girl was insane. How could she tell her the truth? She quickly told the new student to get lost. This slap was no joke. Daisy immediately pretended to be wronged, and a male student came to help her. Within moments, the new student was scolded by the teacher, but Daisy wouldn't let her off so easily. The next day during the exam, Daisy purposely looked at the substitute, her eyes filled with endless hostility. When no one was watching, she secretly sent a message, and the substitute, receiving the message, quickly opened her phone. Seeing it was from Daisy, she found the footage from the day the dog died. When Daisy's aunt opened the video, she was horrified to see Daisy with the dog. The video clearly showed Daisy taking the dog. At home, her aunt immediately went to Daisy's room and questioned her about the attempt to harm the dog that day. At first, Daisy tried to deny it, but when her aunt mentioned the video evidence, Daisy started to make up reasons.
Tell me! God, okay, I'm sorry! Alright, cut that. I let her dog out, okay? I wanted to be dance captain so bad!
After a lot of evasion, Daisy only admitted to part of the truth, ignoring the fact that she poisoned the dog. Her aunt listened to Daisy crying, thinking that was the whole truth. She hurried to comfort Daisy. To make amends, she took Daisy to the substitute's grave and apologized for the dog's death. The next day, as soon as Daisy returned home, did her uncle know something? Daisy went downstairs to test him, but her uncle greeted her like everything was fine. This confused Daisy. After all, the garage was small. Her uncle had no reason not to see her. Did he deliberately hide something? The next day, while her uncle was sunbathing sunbathing, and the caregiver had to leave the pool. Daisy brought a cup of coffee, pretending to join him in the sun, but after 10 minutes, a cool breeze blew toward the pool. Her uncle felt uncomfortable. His legs couldn't be exposed to the cold. He called out to Daisy to help him back inside, but Daisy pretended to be on the phone, completely ignoring his calls. Helpless, he reached for the wheelchair, but accidentally collapsed into it. When the caregiver heard the noise, she rushed over. At that moment, Daisy walked to her uncle's side, pretending to have not heard anything. She helped him back into the wheelchair. This was all part of Daisy's plan. She was trying to figure out her uncle's bottom line. Late at night, she snuck into her aunt and uncle's room and found the computer on the bed. It turned out her aunt had already started researching. Since the day she found out about the video, she had been online looking into teenage psychology, and Daisy, coincidentally, took the computer and did a psychological test. Sure enough, after answering the questions, the results showed she had a serious mental illness, but Daisy didn't feel upset at all. The next day, her aunt went to visit an old friend. Before leaving, she placed a toy bear with a camera in the room. Clearly, her aunt had started to suspect Daisy, and the person her aunt was going to visit was a key figure, the farmer who had shot her father, when Daisy tried to kill him by borrowing a knife. This is the first part of the film, and her aunt was visiting to find out if her brother really had mental issues, and that's why he pointed a gun at his own daughter. As expected, the farmer vaguely remembered her father holding the gun and muttering that his daughter had problems, but at that time, Daisy was in danger, and he had no choice but to shoot. Her aunt fell into deep thought after hearing this, but just as they were discussing it, she also invited some other classmates, but the time was set for later. When the new student arrived, Daisy handed her a cup of coffee and led her to her room, pretending to reveal the truth. But things were far from simple. They hadn't even talked for a few minutes when the new student collapsed, unable to move. It was as if Daisy had drugged her. The student had no strength to control her body, and this was only Daisy's first step. She quickly grabbed the phone from the couch and called the police.
Oh my god, please help me! My name is Emma Grossman. There's this girl, she's insane! I invited her over to come and have hot chocolate and she started a fire! She's attacking me! Please help me!
This left the new student dumbfounded, drinking coffee and being framed for arson. Daisy then found the new student's phone, checked that there was no evidence, and quickly discarded it. Next, she took out a can of gas, touched the new student's fingerprints on it, and placed it beside her as evidence of arson. After finishing everything, Daisy walked away. Meanwhile, the new student tried to get up, but after drinking the drugged coffee, she was paralyzed. There was no time to argue. Her aunt rushed into the house, ignoring the danger. While Daisy no longer cared to explain, she went to the nearby car, playing with her older cousin, and the ending didn't disappoint Daisy. Her aunt searched through the fire, and even found her uncle lying down, but she fainted due to the thick smoke. Outside, Daisy pretended to cry, holding her cousin. When the firefighters came in to put out the fire, one of Daisy's other classmates arrived, and that solved everything. The police suspected the coffee poisoning, and Daisy triumphed in the end. She had deceived all the onlookers. Even the neighbors were looking for a new family to adopt her. Daisy quickly agreed. And now, would you be willing to adopt Daisy into your home?